Guys, welcome to a very, very special episode of TFL Talkin Trucks. I'm here on location in San Diego at Nissan Design America with the brand new 2022 Nissan Frontier and Hiren Patel, who was involved in the design of the truck. Hiren, thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming.
So what's your involvement? What's your involvement with this truck?
My title is Project Lead Designer, so I was in charge of all of the exterior design of this truck.
So tell me kind of, how did it start? I mean, I'm imagining it's a pretty long process to get the truck, to production look we see now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's lucky to have a chance to have a production truck come out. The process basically is, we got the brief, there's a new Frontier, and we kind of got the general gist of the dimensions aren't changing too much, the platform, the stance, and then the designers start sketching their ideas for the new truck. And there's a lot of ideas, and then they kind of go and get narrowed down until there's one idea. And this is the one idea that then got refined to be the production truck.
Okay, so were you involved in some of the initial sketches, or you were picking? How were you involved, I guess, in that?
I was sketching.
Okay.
So I have a pile of ballpoint pen sketches on my desk, so I was sketching from the very beginning on this project.
Very cool. So now it's basically, width-wise is about the same, right, as the previous generation Frontier. But you've changed the entire design. It's a little bit longer. So kind of tell me about what's going on in the front here.
Sure. As you mentioned, width-wise is about the same. The front's a little bit longer for safety and some updating items. The front is, you can see the grille is very proud and prominent. It's very chiseled. It's this kind of new interlocking frame design grille. It's very similar to what the Titan has, what the 2020 Titan has, but here it's kind of a really hard execution. It's wider and it's a narrower ratio. This is like a cool thing. The Frontier font is embossed in the top of the grille.
Kind of stamped into it.
It's kind of stamped into it. That was a fun project because we actually designed that too. And then things kind of sweep back a lot from there. The hood shapes kind of blend into the grille here, and then the lamps kind of sweep back from there, and they're kind of locked into the front fenders. This was done really on purpose because, the front is a bit longer. It's kind of chopped off.
Yeah.
The front the hood comes and then it's kind of vertical chopped off here. But we still wanted the stance to be great on this truck. So we didn't want a big kind of blocky front end. And I wanted personally so that you could feel the tires all the time. You could feel these off-road tires. So all of the shapes on the bottom fascia, we've kind of chiseled away as much as we can, taken away as much as we can here so that you see more of the tire here. And then even if you look at the other side of the truck, you'll see that tire appears at the corner all the time. So that's something we really paid attention to.
And it's also functional, right? Because you want the approach angle. This is a Pro 4X, so it's supposed to be off-road worthy truck. Yeah. And you want that functionality too, right?
Yeah, definitely. We want the functionality, and then we also visually want to enhance it. So even the skid plate we designed, which is fun to do. The skid plate has this shape that kind of angles up at the corners here, and then that angle really kind of continues on the bumper shape here. So we tried to make it appear, it's got great approach angle, but we tried to make it appear like it's got even more so, to really enhance the stance of the truck.
It's becoming very popular to paint the tow hooks.
Yeah.
And this is a special Pro 4X model, of course.
Yep.
So tell me about it. Is that did you had to do it, or what about the tow hooks?
The tow hooks, as you mentioned, it's really popular to paint these functional parts now.
Yeah.
The Pro models on Nissan have the badges are lava red and black, and so that's kind of become our color for Pro.
Yeah.
So we want to communicate that in a few other places. So you'll see that color in the badges. You'll see it in the tow hooks. It'll be in the bedside graphics, and then in the interior in the finishers. This model in particular is a leather model, so it has black finishers, but some of the other ones have this kind of orange colored.
It kind of spruces it up a bit,
Yeah, it gives a pop, but it also it shows you the functional areas, which is really a nice thing.
Cool. And I can see this is kind of the latest Nissan logo as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Done.
This is the latest Nissan
right
logo. Yeah. This one's chunked up a little bit more. So if you see them on some of our electric car models, they'll be a little bit flusher. This one has more depth and dimension to it.
Yeah, very cool. And I also want to mention, talk about the old truck for a bit at the end, okay?
Okay, sure.
We have a 1990 Nissan hardbody D21. And of course, if you're listening to this, you could also check it out on TFL Talk, our video podcast channel, because a lot of it is about visuals, right?
Definitely.
And how they truck compare. But all right, so let's kind of go over to the side.
Sure.
And talk about the proportion, because it is about 4.5 inches longer than before?
Yeah, it's about 4 inches, 4.5 inches, you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
So proportions on the side view, the bed is a little bit taller than the previous generation Frontier. That's actually a really good thing because it raises the bed in the rear. It helps aerodynamics, but it also gives you more space, inside the bed itself. Along with that, we raised the belt line up, which is the bottom of the window line here. So that has gone up a little bit, and what that's done, and to a positive effect, is it's made the body side ratio appear a little bit larger, a little bit taller, so it looks tougher. Mm-hmm. But in order to keep the pretty good visibility out of this truck, we dipped it down at that front door, and so you have really good visibility out to the mirrors and down when you're off-roading, but you still maintain that high belt line, so it feels really secured with this really nice thick body side here. The windows have been elongated, and graphically we've connected them together in the B-pillar. For this truck, stamped doors are really important. Solid metal stamped doors, like metal, and metal up here. So it's still a full stamped metal door, really high quality, really strong, but this really helps elongate the cabin and make it feel roomier, even when you're looking at it from the outside.
Yeah, very cool. And here's kind of a look inside. We mentioned that it is a leather clad interior, and it does have some of those black finishers.
Yeah, the finishers on this one are black. For this leather interior, it's kind of like it's all black, but there's a lot of texturing here. There's the carbon fiber inserts on the side of the seats. There's quilting, and so for this one, it's kind of a luxe package, but it's a sporty luxe package.
So basically, one comment I used to hear about the second generation Frontier, the previous model, is that it's just the right size, right? Just the right size. It's easy to come over, it's easy to reach in. Yep. And I can reach in inside of this bed also. Yeah. It's not gigantic,
Yeah, definitely. That was something that we heard early on in the whole design process, was talking to customers. People really didn't want their truck getting huge. If they said, if I want a big truck, I'll buy a full-size truck. There's an F-150 or Titan or whatever. There's all these trucks in the market. I want a mid-size truck for a reason. So that's why we didn't actually make it much wider. We didn't make it much longer. We tried to keep the dimensions as close as possible to what we had today, because I felt like a sweet spot. The cabin was roomy. The things that we did work on was the perception items. So you perceive it to be lifted up higher and tougher. The interior, it has a higher feeling for perception of roominess and things like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
cool. Well, let's move to the back.
Sure.
Without falling into this
without
kind of
falling
water
into
feature.
The pool. For sure.
So were you said there was a tradition to throw the designers into the pool. Were you thrown into a pool?
Yep, I was thrown into the pool.
For this truck?
For this truck, yeah.
Can you explain that? Why is that?
So what happens in the studio, it's kind of a tradition. If you get a design selected, whether it's like a show car or a production car, if you get something selected, they drag you from your desk and throw you into one of the pools. It's kind of like our throw Gatorade on the coach kind of tradition. It's like the best day of the year when you get thrown in the pool.
There you go, because your design is coming to life, basically, right?
Yeah, that's the best feeling. Because like I said, for every one of these that we see on the road, there's thousands of designs that don't make it. So it's a great feeling to see your product get made. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about kind of the taillight area, because it's very unique. I think it kind of is recognizable. Yeah, definitely. The taillight has a lot of the same stuff that the headlight has, where it feels like it's clamped and locked into this rear fender. obviously truck taillights, like, everybody's bound by a straight line on the tailgate, and there isn't much you can do around that area. But the three-dimensional quality of the way that this lamp kind of clamps onto the body is something pretty unique. And this is an all-LED lamp, which is, I think, quite outstanding for the segment. And when you see this truck at night, it's going to look really cool. These upper and lower elements, they light up like these solid blocks of neon light. You can't see any small LEDs or anything like that. And that was done really intentionally. Like, they feel like this milled, solid precision. So we tried to put a lot of that into the taillights.
And it's also, has some resemblance to the Titan. Was that in your mind also?
Yeah.
Family resemblance? I guess?
Definitely. I actually worked on the 2020 Titan also.
Okay.
There's a family resemblance because, they're both Nissan products. We want them to look like a family. But the Frontier has its own character, and the Titan should have its own character.
Yeah.
But definitely they fit within the brand.
Makes sense. And also, like, the window line is reminiscent of the Titan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
right?
the window line is a little reminiscent of the Titan.
Yeah.
The fender actual graphic of the fenders is somewhat similar to the Titan, but it's done differently on Frontier. It's a lot more three-dimensional. There's a lot more ins and outs here.
So Hiren, I see you have this, same logo on the tailgate here. Tell me about some of the design, also the stamping.
Oh yeah, this is there's a lot on the tailgate actually going on. Starting from the top, it's got an integrated spoiler in the stamping itself, which is pretty cool. We even designed the bed cap rails. That was designed by us. We were thinking about how to make this a really beautiful but really functional part at the same time. And then even the handle, the rear handle, you'll notice there's some of the same elements that you notice in the front end on that rear handle, where
kind of
it's got
the shape,
the interlocking shape. Yeah. And the camera's really well integrated into that too.
And it looks really large.
It's very large. Yeah. I put the biggest set of gloves on I could find and made sure that you could get that tailgate open when it's snowy or icy or something. Really nice and functional. And then, it's got the new logo. It's also got the new Pro badges. That's a new design. It's all machined and chiseled looking, super modern. It
looks really high quality.
Yeah. This was another fun thing that we got to work on this time. We don't get to work on all this stuff all the time, but it was a really nice experience. And then the tailgate stamping. So it's kind of similar to the front end. It's got this tailgate stamping right way across. It's the first time that our engineers have done this in Nissan. So it was the first time for them to stamp like this.
How long did it take to pick the font? You said you were working on the font too.
Yeah, we designed the new font. That process took the whole process of designing the truck.
Really?
Yeah, because I wanted to make sure that it looked really good stamped. That was my main idea. So we first had the font designed, and then we tried stamping trials of it. We had about 20 or 30 different stamping trials of it until we got it to look really good as a stamped part, and then that informed us how we're going to use that font everywhere else.
Yeah, because it's really interesting to think about, because you're looking at it in the studio or you're drawing it or outside, right? Different light plays with it.
Yeah, definitely. And we did that. We looked at it in the day, at night. Our courtyard's really nice. You can see, we colored it black, white, silver, different body colors. We were looking at it from different distances. So we wanted this truck to be really recognizable from far away also. This is one of the areas that we were really kind of focused on. Even the step pad, this has 3 different layers of texturing on it. It's a real chunky design. Looks like it has kind of tank tread patterns. We did a bunch of variations on this too while we're working on the truck.
Is there a favorite angle? Do you like one side of the truck, or the front or the back?
You know what? I've looked at this truck from every angle and tried to make them all look good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people like the front end of the truck, like the head-on front view of this truck. But yeah, really, I've looked at every angle of this truck and tried to make it look as good as possible. So,
very cool. Before we kind of close, can we turn our attention to this classic truck? This is a 1990 hardbody D21.
Yeah.
Tell me, first of all, the history of the D21.
So we're at Nissan Design America. The D21 was the first compact pickup truck designed in North America. and it was the first project, full production project done by our studio. So it's got a lot of history. This is kind of the grandfather of the studio. Everything afterwards followed this one.
That's very cool. So this is the king cab. It's got, I believe it's a
long bed.
It's a long bed.
Yeah.
It looks, really usable. It's an SC, which was kind of a higher grade.
Yep.
And it's a V6. So did you look at this truck? We can go around the other side maybe. As kind of a connection to the new model, the 2022?
Yeah, definitely. I looked at this truck a lot. I didn't necessarily look at it in a way where I said, okay, let's create a retro design or let's like recreate the hard body. But what I like about this truck is, you see a lot of them still around on the roads, and it's a really recognizable vehicle still. When this truck launched in 1986, if you compare it to all the other small compact trucks that were on the road, the kind of really modernist approach of this truck, but also this like solid functionality to it, was really something that stuck with me, and that's really what I wanted our new truck to feel like when our new truck launches, that it has that same kind of impact that this one has. And you instantly look at it and recognize it as a really well-designed vehicle holistically. Like there's nothing out of place on the hard body. And I wanted the Frontier to also embody a lot of that feeling where it doesn't feel like there's anything out of balance on that truck.
So I'm looking at this now. We're at the tailgate.
Yep.
And first of all, Nissan is kind of stamped in on the classic D21.
Yep.
You got some stamping on the new Frontier.
Oh yeah.
And also the shape of the this cutout.
Yep.
Is also almost like the shape of the new cutout.
Kind of, yeah. There's some inspiration there. Yeah, definitely.
That's really interesting.
You'll find it in a lot of places. Like if you look at the sections on the side of the truck, like the sill section here, like this generous sill section here, it's not super round and it's not super flat either. It's kind of an in between, but it gives the panel this look of additional strength to me, rather than just a flat panel. That's on that truck right there too.
Okay.
You'll see it in the body side and the doors and the parting lines for the doors. And then there was like the kind of one block of metal look about this truck. So the feeling that the top of the bed has a really clear relationship to the bottom of the window line, and that has a really clear relationship to where the cowl is, and then the hood as that slopes forward. You can track lines all around this truck, which is so cool. Like this feature line connects all the way through the truck, and so we did that in a bunch of places on the new Frontier. You'll notice the top of the bed, the top of the window, the hood line, all in a straight line, all kind of clearly related to each other.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And also kind of, I like the hard body trucks because just kind of the face of them. It's very recognizable face.
Yeah,
obviously
sure.
I kind of grew up, in this similar time frame.
Yep.
So I have kind of a appreciation for it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I love this element right here. It's so simple. It's so clear. This bumper plugging onto the side fender. And there's some of that in there. It's done in a more modern way where they're kind of interlocked together now. Yeah. But definitely, there's a lot of elements about this truck that are just so cool and timeless.
Very cool. Well, I'm really glad. We're getting the 2022 Frontier very soon. It's probably this summer, right? It goes on sale.
I think so, yeah.
The summer 2021.
Yeah, me too.
I can't wait. I haven't seen the kind of the king cab version yet.
Yeah.
Do you know when you guys are showing that, or?
I don't know when we're showing that.
Okay.
It's done. I just don't know when it's being shown, and I don't think you've seen the other trim levels of this truck either.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
No.
So I'm not sure when those are going to be released. That's not my department, but yeah.
Yes,
but
that's okay.
we worked on all of them. We worked on the king cab. We did the crew cab, the long bed, the short bed. We kind of did them all in the studio. And we, as much as the Pro model looks great, the Pro 4X looks good, we focus just as much on the S-grade model, or the base model, or the regular model. So they're all going to come out with really nice stance, really nicely balanced trucks.
All right, Hiren. Well, I really appreciate your time and kind of showing me around the design. It's really interesting. And it's actually cool to see in person. You know, it's one thing to see it in an image or somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But actually being here in person, that's very special.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hopefully we can see them on the road soon too.
I hope so too. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.